Diller. Without further ado, here is the host of our show, Mr. Tom Diller.
Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? This is Tom Diller. You're listening to KQCK Live in beautiful Santan Valley. I think Joe's adjusting me there under the table where you can't see.
Just adjusting you there, yeah. Let me get
Thank you. We've got a couple of wonderful guests here tonight. We have one actually here, and the other one's stuck in traffic. I kind of laugh when I say stuck in traffic on the way out to Santan Valley. Not sure there's much traffic out here, is there, Joe?
You know, if you left here in the morning, you'd realize what people meant.
Exiting out to Phoenix kind of thing?
Man.
Yeah, I can imagine. One
So
road in, one road out.
So there probably is a lot, but I don't do the rush hour
There
thing.
actually there is quite a bit of traffic from the Queen Creek part of Germain out to here for that one road. So anyways, we have Mr. Robert Gilmore here. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Tom. Great to be here.
Well, thank you
Very
for
excited.
coming. You're at a bank that I never really heard of, so I apologize for that. I did some research, but the Bank of England.
Yes, based in beautiful Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas.
Bank of England based in Arkansas, not like in New England or like England proper, which would be, I guess, across the pond or anything?
And it's one of the oldest banks in the country. It started
No
in
kidding.
1898
In the United States?
in the United States.
No. So was it like a local bank that went
It's a
regional,
local.
then super regional, or what
Correct.
have you?
Correct.
Outstanding. Well, we have Mr. Kevin Harden walking in. Of course, anybody who works at a law firm, because they get billed by the hour, they walk in like 30 seconds before the show starts, and they leave like 30 seconds after the show ends to another case or something. So this is a high-powered gentleman walking in here, and he's ready. Mr. Harden, how are you?
I promise to be late even to my own funeral.
That's right. I heard you say that before, too. So good seeing you again. Thank you for coming out.
Thanks. Sir.
We're just getting started here, and I was just introducing Mr. Robert Gilmore here, so you guys say hi to each other. So Bank of England. So let's jump over to Mr. Harden, and we'll do his introductions. And we're going to give out the phone number here because the phone's already ringing, but please call in. We're going to be talking about down payment assistance tonight, along with some other things. The number to call is 480-745-1033. Again, 480-745-1033. Mr. Harden is with Arboleda Breckner.
Very good, Tom.
Law firm in Phoenix, and it took me a year to get that right. Jumble it up there, but a wonderful law firm that specializes in all sorts of things. I can't say the word specialized, right? But I just did, and I said it twice now. So you don't specialize.
Our practice area.
The practice area. There you go.
Yeah. Bankruptcy, debtor creditor issues, tax, estate, as well as real estate, and specifically today, mortgage law issues.
Right. Excellent. And we saw you for lunch today, so it's good seeing you twice in one day. Usually this guy is just locked up in cases and doing all sorts of... I'm not sure what he does. Some of it's super secret, so he can't tell us. He'll have to kill us before we leave tonight. So
Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
That wouldn't be good because we would be dead. So I don't want to be dead at this point yet in my life. So, but anyways, thank you for joining us. And we're going to talk about a couple things, especially down payment assistance. You know, what is down payment assistance? Is it still out there? I know at one point it was very prevalent. In fact, there was a lot of good stories about it, and there were some bad stories about it. So I think we're going to talk a little bit about both. And I'm not really sure how there can be bad stories about it, but Kevin's going to talk about that because I guess there's some things that happened with it. But for those that don't know, down payment assistance, just in a nutshell, it could be county-run, state, government, federal,
City.
whatever.
Our private funds.
Non-profit funds.
And profit funds.
And profit funds could be anywhere from $5,000 to $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 of
Right.
virtually free money that you can get if you're a first-time home buyer. Sometimes you can be a second-time home buyer based on your
As long as you don't own a home today.
currently, right?
Then you can
right.
qualify for the down payment assistance programs. The main thing, though, is that it's really geared for low to moderate income homeowners.
Right. So there's a specific income qualification, like just short of the median income or something like that, or
There's 3 different levels.
Uh-huh.
One is at 60% of median income. So for a family of 2, that's $31,900 for total family income. If you have 2 children, then you're at $39,800
Uh-huh.
for that 60% level.
right.
At 80%, which covers some of them, that's $47,800. And then for a couple of the other down payment programs, they're at 120%. So if your family income is $71,800 or less, then you would qualify for on an income basis for the down payment assistance.
Right.
But the most important part of it is the debt to income issue, so that you're buying an affordable house.
So you're not over encumbered. What is the median income? Is it 53,100 I see on there?
It's 46,500 or 59.
Gotcha.
59.8 for
Based on
family
the amount
of 4.
of kids you have or
Correct.
spouses or that sort of thing.
Correct.
So these programs are still prevalent, and why don't you see a lot of news about these? Do you know?
I think
it doesn't seem to, unless you're in the industry, I'm not sure people really know about these programs.
I was happy to do a couple of tour or home buyer education
Right.
programs with you, one for the borrowers and
Right.
the other for realtors. I think that the reason why you don't hear about it as much is that loan officers are scared of them. Sometimes the banks
All
are
the
scared
paper,
of
the
them.
government paperwork,
Okay.
the rigmarole you have to go through, but which isn't true, though. That's a myth, right?
It's a myth. And then
Right.
the same thing is it relates to realtors. Realtors are afraid
It's going to clog up their deal. Why wait
and
for the
is
money?
it, right. So
Right.
how I counsel my clients is before you even go looking for a house, that you've already had the home buyer education and got that part looked after, because that's a 30-day process.
Sure. Tell you what, let's stop right there. So let's take a step back here. Since you're talking about counseling your customers or whatever, what is your background? So let's talk about your background and why you're qualified to do this, and I think that's going to shed a little more light on the folks that are out there. So
Okay.
what's your background? What do you do there, Robert?
Okay, I'll just deal with the last 15 years. Last 15 years, I was a trainer for a mortgage banking software program. I flew 1.8 million miles in 5 years, and I went to pretty much every neighborhood, NeighborWorks office across the country, including Saipan and Guam, Tinian,
Wow.
Chuuk. So all the American territories, including Puerto Rico and Ponce. And basically, that's how I got to know the down payment
So you
programs.
train on all the different programs that are out there. So
Correct.
did you do this for a nonprofit, for a bank, or?
It was a mortgage banking software program.
Gotcha.
And then when I left that, after September 11th, it was no more fun to be flying like I was before. I actually took on the job as Director of Loan Fund Management for Neighborhood Housing Services of New York
Oh,
City.
gotcha.
And I was in charge of 8 offices in 5 boroughs across New York City.
Nice.
And looked after all of the housing, worked with the Housing Preservation Department for the City of New York, and Sean Donovan happened to be heading that up at that particular time. So
Wow.
got to work with him
Big
as
name.
well.
So now Bank of England, you're a loan officer. So you're a loan officer with a really unique background of knowing the DPA
I'm
programs.
actually a community lending specialist.
Community lending specialist, CLS. So you're a CLS number 2. You're a CLS with a DPA background, which I think is pretty unique. So when you're dealing with realtors or the consumers that are out there, you have not just loans to provide, you have loans plus. So you're kind of a
Correct.
lender on steroids,
Correct. Well,
so to speak. I don't know. Do you take steroids? I don't know.
no.
No, you don't.
Tom, I will give them the name of your doctor. I know we're supposed to pander about how handsome
Nice.
you are, but I know we have to
It's in your
mention how
contract.
handsome, freakishly handsome you are every show. So,
Oh, gosh. Golly.
Get him. Get him. I
Get him.
love it.
All right, let's get back on topic. So,
we were-
yeah.
you know, I was happy when I moved here. I was working with Wells Fargo at the time,
right.
and Wells Fargo asked me to sit on the board of directors for Neighborhood Housing Services of Phoenix, which I happily did for 3 years.
Uh-huh.
And that's probably the largest, most well-known of the housing counseling offices in the city.
Right.
There are a number of different counseling agencies. I have the names and phone numbers of those.
Right.
And I say too many times. I'm already
You
hearing
do.
it.
So let me save you here. So
Yeah.
when we say down payment assistance, it's not one company, it's not one program. There's a multitude of programs that are out there. Is there one website or someplace to go for somebody to look besides calling you? And in fact, what's your contact information? So somebody wants more information.
Best way to reach me would be 602-317-6166. Happy to talk to you about the programs that are available. Each particular city, it's like City of Avondale or City of Surprise, they have their own down
Their own
payment
different
assistance.
programs, right.
So there's not very many loan officers in the city that are well-versed, but I know all of them.
Yeah, how about right here in Santan Valley or Queen Creek area? Are there a lot of programs out here? I know there's USDA works out here in most of the areas out
any
here.
of the national programs are available in Pinal County as well.
Pinal County. So do most of those go by zip code also, or county-wide?
It's countywide.
County-wide. Okay, so I know one misnomer was you had to live in Buckeye or Verrado or
Well, that
wherever,
would be-
Quartzsite. to get the money?
USDA. Is
Okay.
probably what
So
you're
you can
talking
be in Chandler and qualify based on the income and some other things. I'm not just saying that's just incomes, but you can qualify for the money. So a lot of this is free money, meaning that it goes to the down payment, and some are anywhere from 3 to 5 years. If you're in the home for that long, the money is gone,
Correct.
disappears.
Basically, what happens is that it's either 5 years forgiven
Sure.
or it's 15 years forgiven.
Oh,
And it
5 to
really-
15 years. Okay, that's
So
close.
it depends on which programs that you're looking at.
And when you say forgiven, so if you, for the folks that are listening to us that don't know about these programs, after the 5th year, if it's a 5-year program, literally if you go to sell your house, that money doesn't get repaid; it's gone, and there's no payments during those first 5 years. So
Correct.
it's a silent second.
A silent second.
It disappears. It's gone. You sell your house. You got built-in equity. You're good.
And you would get a deed release at the end of that 5 years.
Right. Well, what are some of the bigger companies that are doing these down payment assistant programs? And again, let's go back to my one question. Is there one website to find all these? Is that such a thing or no?
No, you're going to have to do some homework.
Or call Robert Gilmore at
Right.
1-800-GILMORE.
And not every program is available at every lender. Okay, so when you're choosing your lender, just like you chose your realtor,
Right.
you have to take a look at is their experience. Have they dealt with down payment assistance
Right,
programs
right.
before? If so, what programs have they been approved? Because there's an approval process of getting it through the underwriting and secondary mortgage market
Right.
of each of the banks or mortgage companies. And that's probably why you don't hear a lot of what's
Right,
going on,
right.
because somebody has to take the bull by the horns and push this
Okay, let's
forward.
talk about that. How many of these programs are used or utilized? Say last year, do you have the number? How many, did 1,000 people use DPA or a million people?
I believe I saw something yesterday. It was 1,800 families.
So relatively speaking, this is what, the 5th largest city, Phoenix metro in the world, or in the United States. So only 1,800 people took advantage of this?
That was just from one website and regarding the neighborhood stabilization program.
But my gut tells me on the median income here, say that you have a family of 3 and make $59,800 or less, my gut tells me that there's a lot of folks in that category. I mean, what's a lot mean? I don't know, hundreds of thousands, perhaps?
I would think.
Kevin, do you have a number on that? Can you guess in your because I know you got a lot of stuff in your brain over there.
I wouldn't even take a punt at that number.
A lot of people, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it seems to me that maybe just a fraction of a fraction even took advantage of the program. So getting the word out. So what we're doing today is pretty darn cool, getting the word out on this, because it's going to help a lot of people get into a property.
And again, borrowers get frustrated through the process because
Right.
they have to do the homebuyer education program, which is an 8-hour class, HUD approved. Then you have to meet one-on-one with one of the counselors
Right.
first
Right.
before you even get to talk to me.
Anybody out there that thinks they're going to get frustrated in an 8-hour class is ridiculous. Think about it. You're going to get free money. Wouldn't you go to an 8-hour class to get $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 for free?
And I recommend homebuyer education for everybody.
For everybody, right?
Everybody.
Right. But if you do it in association with the DPA, you get the money.
Correct. And on we did a home tour for realtors probably 2 years ago, and Native American Connections had townhomes that were built at 39th Street in Thomas. The retail price was $160,000, and if you met their qualification, there was actually 3 down payment assistance programs. So there was 4 loans altogether. The first loan was around $65,000. That was the loan I would give. Federal Home Loan Bank of San Francisco gave $60,000, then $15,000 from the city, $15,000 from another program. So
And all that was pretty much forgiven money. And I saw those condos. I was there on that
They're
same tour of yours.
beautiful.
They were gorgeous.
Yeah.
Gated little community.
Yep.
It may not have been the most beautiful neighborhood, but I tell you, what they did to the community was just unbelievable. I mean, just beautiful garages leading. I mean, these are more like, they were townhomes, right? Connected townhomes. In a nice little community. Very beautiful, well kept. A lot of nurses lived in there.
Yeah.
and- yeah.
One of the other developments that I was somewhat responsible for doing was at Neighborhood Housing Services.
Uh-huh.
We actually bought a bankrupt neighborhood that was on Southern.
Mm-hmm.
And we went and took a look at those houses. They were gated, beautiful houses. There was a gentleman that had moved down. He was a veteran, and moved down. Working through the VA, we had over $45,000 worth of alterations that were done for his house because he was a quadriplegic from the neck down. And then he also got $40,000 in down payment assistance.
I think I went to that house also. I think CC San Diego
Absolutely.
was actually listed at that house.
Yes.
So it's funny. It's a small world. Because I remember him inviting us into his house.
Correct.
He was proud of all the work that the state or the county helped do on that property. It was kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's pretty cool. Let's get back to what it takes to qualify. You talked about the 8 hours of classes that they have to take, home buyer education, or whatever. Is there anything else they have to do?
They have to have the one-on-one counseling. When they're doing that one-on-one counseling, they're going to go over your credit report
And
with you.
they set that up.
Right.
So they don't have to go out and find it. It's set up for them.
Correct. And what they're going to do is they're going to do a preliminary review. You're going to supply them with the same information you would supply to me as a loan officer. Bank statements, pay stubs, tax returns, all of that.
Uh-huh.
They'll pull credit. The main thing with down payment assistance, the front-end ratio, which is a ratio of just for housing, cannot exceed 28 to 31% of your gross income. So if you make $10,000, you can't have
3,000-ish.
correct.
Right.
Okay. Your back-end ratio, which includes car loans and credit cards, and
48%?
everything's 43.
Oh, close.
Some allow a little bit higher,
Right,
45. But
Right.
again, they're very strict on that. If you're 1 penny over, no loan.
Right.
Okay.
I got to say one thing. I can hear Joe typing over there. A couple weeks ago, somebody typed in, said the way the lights were, you could see a little bald spot growing on the back of my head. Today at lunch, I found out who that person was, and that was Kevin Harden sitting over here. He typed that in, and I couldn't sleep that night. I could not sleep. I was having these nightmares about how much does minoxidil cost. And it's just the part of my hair. I got to tell you that. So it's the part of my hair, Mr. Harden. The part in my hair.
You know what's really cool, Tom? I was doing a little research on the internet,
Yeah.
and this commercial came up. They have this spray paint now you can spray.
Is that what you use?
Joan Rivers on HSN.
Right,
There's a
right.
powder that you just have to sprinkle the powder on the back, and it'll take care of all of it.
And then
for
you roll around in human hair, and it sticks to your head.
And
That's a good product.
I hear Botox works for the bald spots.
I donate
Nice.
hair to that program. That's why I know about it.
You had a mullet when I met you about a year ago.
Right, right.
You cut that off. It was,
I did.
Yeah, your achy breaky
And
heart
my
mullet.
pigtail.
That's right, your pigtail. All right, so these sound like unbelievable, great programs that are just free money. And again, I'm just amazed and shocked at how little advertisement there is to the end user. I don't know how much advertisement there is to realtors themselves. I know you talked about some of the drawbacks, the misnomer of there being a lot of paperwork. How could any kind of DPA program be a bad thing? And that's why you're here. There's things out there. It's government money. There could be abuses or drainage of the money or whatever. Let's talk about that a little bit.
I would back up to the top level and describe that in general terms, there are two types of down payment assistance programs. And I hate to use the term program, to be
Sure.
honest. But the sources of money might either be by way of, I don't mean sources where the nonprofit or for-profit gets it. I'm talking from the point of view of the homeowner. Am I borrowing it in the form of a silent second, forgivable across a varying of 3 years, 5 years,
Right,
10
right.
years, or there's the true gift down payment assistance program where they just gift it to you.
Okay, so we're not talking about the community, the state program. So this is something totally different at this point.
Well, the characterizing some of these as state programs is the monies may not come from the state.
Sure.
They come from nonprofits.
Right.
Family Housing Resources
Right.
is one of those folks. They're not a government entity per se, but they may be government approved. A.K.A. why do you go to a counseling session and it has to be HUD approved entity? And then we had the criteria. And what is the big criteria with HUD is that the monies not come from an interested party.
Correct.
Not come from a party who has an interest in that transaction, which is back in the days of Nehemiah and Ameridream.
Right.
You know, those entities got their money by a little shell game. And basically, we would raise the sales price, and then the seller, thereby gaining more money, 4%, would then gift 4% to the nonprofit, who would in turn peel a little piece out of it, and then give the remaining 3%, 3.5% to the homeowner. And it's a gift, but it really wasn't. And so HUD had to step in at some point, especially looking at the default rate and the delinquency rates and all those. They became very aware of those and began to kill them. And then lenders got creative with these programs. Where will the money come from? I think one of the classic ones out here in our local market, and it was done around the country, was from a lender that decided, and they were just a mortgage lender, not a bank, decided, I got a great idea. Why don't we jack up the interest rate on the loan?
I know who you're talking about.
We will create a significant amount of premium pricing. That's that back-end pricing. And because they're a mortgage lender, they can
yield
hide
spread
that money.
premium, is that what it's called? Yield spread premiums.
And then why don't we send 4.5% of that money, just to use a number, and we'll send it to a foreign nonprofit. Mm-hmm. That foreign nonprofit would take a little piece of it, launder the money, put it back into the country into a domestic legitimate nonprofit, who would in turn peel their little piece, and then to the homeowner they got 2.5% when it was left over to what would be a 1% down FHA. And all these homeowners said, hey, a 1% down FHA, what a wonderful program. I only have to put 1% down. What they didn't realize, they financed it themselves. Right. And then they go to their loan officer and say, I don't understand, Mr. Loan Officer. Why is my interest rate 0.5 to 0.75% higher than your competition? Well, we have a specially approved HUD program for this. All that turned out to not be true. The bottom line was there was no such thing as a HUD approved 1% down.
Correct.
The money was taken in improperly, and at the end it damaged many homeowners. Mm-hmm.
Now, this is an actual case that your firm had worked on or is working on now?
That case is actively in the courts. It's been filed. The case was filed against the lending company, mm-hmm. being the originator, and as well as the lenders they sold those loans to, who it seems and appears that they were very well aware of what was going on. And unfortunately, the legitimate nonprofit was aware of it too. But they were more than willing to get financed by way of this cash flow. It wasn't like the money came in and go, send it wherever you'd like. It was, no, you can only use it for that one person.
Now is the consumer hurt by the increased rate that they paid, or...
Well, it's a non-disclosure.
Is the winner...
You've conned the homeowner into something. Would the homeowner have said no, say, hey, I got an idea for you, Mr. Homeowner? And if we ask the world of homeowners, if we raise your interest rate by 0.5%, you would lower your down payment from 3.5% required minimum investment under this FHA program to 1%. Okay. They might have done it. Problem is, that would violate HUD's guidelines.
Sure.
They would violate lending guidelines.
So even if they knew about it, it still violates guidelines.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it sounds too good to be true, it might be. And everybody explored it, and everything kind of came to roost eventually. So our firm was retained to represent those homeowners as a class. And it's a fairly large class of people, diminished only by the number of people who ended up losing those same homes to foreclosure, etc. But they still ended up overpaying for a mortgage more than they should have. By all rights, if it truly is what it represented, here's free money. Right. The other issue you have to look at, and that's just one incident of all of these kind of DPA programs, is where's the source of money coming from? And if you have to explain it too long, then there's probably something going on. Then we have the programs, as you talk about, that are in the form of silent seconds. And this is where homeowners are not given that extra bit of education. They go through the HUD-required homebuyer education, but it fails, having gone through all of those programs. At some point, I had to review many of those for... I worked for Satan for 16 years. That's the banking industry. And I had to work in compliance and regulatory-wise. So I went to them to verify what was going on and what these clients would have seen. And they don't mention at all or so very little what happens with it. What can you do? And buried deep in the terminology is, hey, now you got to keep the home for this many years, and if you don't, you got to pay this back. But what happens if the home goes to foreclosure? They didn't sell it, but now it's going to foreclosure. And suddenly we have an entity now looking to recover those monies. And many of those homeowners felt a little trapped by those issues. Then we moved further into additional down payment assistance, which is by way of the USDA program. People discovered that it wasn't just one loan. there was a subsidized portion of that loan that became in its own rights a silent or forgivable second. No payments were due on it, but it's a federal debt. And what happens when you don't pay federal debts? You don't get your refunds anymore for the rest of your life.
Right.
And so the education part for the homeowners, a very critical piece, is from you guys in the mortgage industry helping the homeowner understand, okay, here's some free money. Yes, you're going to go to some education, and who wouldn't? And today, our affordability index is so good right now. I mean, before we had 6.5% interest rates. If we go back 4 or 5 years, we had 6.5% interest rates. Median income similar, plus or minus. Okay, but home prices were double. Okay, for some of these folks in the affordable range. So what were they left doing? It was really tough to get into a home. So I think there was some negative connotation for many originators, but suddenly you wake up today, interest rates are not at 6.5. They're at 4 or sub 4. Correct. And the home is no longer $220, $240 median home price. Now it's back down in the $140, $160 range. And addition to that, here's still the money. So now all of a sudden they can buy more home for that median income that normally at that 28 to 31% ATI wouldn't have bought much home. Today that payment is a great home. They can buy great homes. And so it's a real shame that originators don't get educated up. I think for most originators the reality is if it is a HUD-approved entity that is providing the down payment assistance funds, we have a very, I think of as very homogenized mortgage market today. It's not quite the market we used to have where, if you went to this lender, he had a special program that nobody else had. Fannie, Freddie, FHA. And there's a little tiny sliver of some alternative agency loans, but not much today, though it's grown probably from, 5 years or 4 years ago.
Right.
But it's very limited. So it's just about every originator should be able to do it, but doesn't educate themselves like you have. They should be able to do the work. They don't want to do the work. And you just got to be prepared. You got to be prepared to receive the homeowner, time out, and here's your median income. Hey, did you know there's money available for you? Get you in the pipeline and get it out of it. But educate them on the mortgage document itself and from that homeowner.
And through the homebuyer education that Neighborhood Housing Services of Phoenix have, as an example, they have classes for realtors, but they also have classes which involve taking care of your finances. So if you are having an issue, financially, they'll work with you until you're able to purchase. If you are ready to go, then they have to take a look at it first, and they have to make sure that they meet the criteria. The one most important thing I like to point out to people is when you look at your interest rate on your loan, which says 4%, and you take a look at the truth in lending, and all of a sudden you're seeing 5 or 5.5%. That truth in lending, the closer the numbers are together, the truer the loan.
Yeah.
Well, right. I would argue what you're referring to is the APR portion, as it's disclosed on the truth in lending statement. I had the privilege of working with what was called the Mortgage Reform Working Group back in the mid to late 90s, going back and forth to D.C., lobbying to try to get some mortgage reform, to simplify those disclosures. Because the consumer at the end of the day goes, well, Mr. Loan Officer, my APR says 6.2, but my interest rate's supposed to be 5. And they go, don't worry about it. Your interest rate's still 5. Okay. Yeah. I mean, there's just this, because even the LO couldn't even calculate an APR.
They had no clue what it was.
Yeah, I used to, over the years, test loan officers on that.
I'm going to throw out the phone number one more time. We're going to take a break here in just a second, but this is great discussion. So we're going to carry on where we just left off. But the number to call in is 480-745-1033. We're going to jump into about 90 seconds worth of commercials. Please listen to the commercials. These are the folks that make KQCK happen. I've got a sinus infection going on here, so I apologize. I'm hearing echoes in my head, but let's jump over to some sponsors.
Are you having plumbing or septic problems? No worries. Call Cartwright's Queen Creek Plumbing and Septic Service. Been in the Valley since 1996. Family owned and operated. Proudly serving East Valley and surrounding areas. With a full range of services from drain cleaning, septic tank pumping, general maintenance and repairs, inspections for the sale of your home. They provide excellent and courteous service for all your plumbing and septic needs. We're not satisfied till you are satisfied. Licensed, bonded, and insured. Call today. Cartwright's Queen Creek Plumbing and Septic Service. Contact Denise at 480-987-8051. That's 480-987-8051. Are you ready to start taking control of your future and maximize your earning potential? Central Arizona College has smaller class sizes and personalized attention to help you compete in today's tough job market. CAC now serves Santan Valley and Queen Creek. The CAC Santan Center is located in the shops at Copper Basin on Hunt Highway, behind Barrow's Pizza. Stop in and see how taking classes at CAC costs a fraction of a state university, and your credits can transfer. So, if you want to earn real money, you need to learn real skills at Central Arizona College. Enroll in classes today by calling 480-677-7825 or visit www.centralaz.edu or call 480-677-7825 or visit www.centralaz.edu. Central Arizona College, your college, your way.
Got pain? Call Dr. Wayne. Chiropractic care may be your answer. Queen Creek Back Care. Located in Queen Creek on 20231 East Ocotillo Road on the backside of True Value Hardware Store. Safe, effective treatment with chiropractic and same-day appointments to speed your healing. With more than a decade of experience and hundreds of satisfied patients, Dr. Wayne Christensen will provide you the pain relief you've been searching for. Dr. Wayne is fully qualified to treat the entire family, even children. Call for an appointment today. 480-677-3900. That's 480-677-3900.
When you visit Hill Family Dentistry in Santan Valley, dentist Dr. Tim Hill provides each patient with personalized, gentle care that you deserve. Our entire team is dedicated to providing you and your family with services that will make you smile. With a full range of general, cosmetic, and specialty dentistry services that will keep you and your family smiling. Our commitment to our community is to provide outstanding oral health. Hill Family Dentistry is located on 36359 Ganzel Road in Santan Valley, diagonally across from Banner Ironwood Hospital. Evening and weekend appointments available. We accept most insurances and have in-office policies available for non-insured. Contact us today at 480-588-8127. Hill Family Dentistry.
Welcome back to KQCK Live here in beautiful Santan Valley. You're listening to In the Know with Tom Diller and our special guest, Robert Gilmore with Bank of England and Kevin Harden with Arboleda Breckner Law Firm. We're talking about down payment assistance and how these programs can help you get into homes. Folks that you don't have to be a first-time homeowner.
You just can't own any property.
You just can't own any property currently, and you're out there. If you meet certain income guidelines, there's a lot of money out there. Some are virtually free. Obviously, if you sell within a certain amount of time, 5 years plus, that you may have to pay that back. But if you don't, then you don't have to pay it back.
Correct.
Again, that's a very generic.
I look at it as paying it forward.
Paying it forward, yeah.
If somebody received $15,000 worth of down payment assistance, and for whatever reason they have to move in 5 years from now, you got the benefit of asset growth.
Right.
And you have to pay $10,000 back so that there's money for somebody else.
You know, it's a wonderful time to buy. The inventory is a little bit low, but the interest rates are extremely low right now, sub 4%. There's a lot of great loan programs out there. There's another program I want to make sure we talk about, and you and I personally, we've done education on these programs, and it started as the NSP program a few years ago, which stands for Neighborhood Stabilization Programs, and right now we're on NSP 2, correct? And is there 3? We're on NSP 3
and 4.
And 4 coming out. So what is, let's just say, what is NSP? Talk a little bit about that. And I think, Kevin, you know quite a bit about this too. And Robert, what is that and how can that help the folks out there listening?
It's a neighborhood stabilization program, and it's a $15,000 down payment assistance. Where it really comes into play, and what I like, is that there are 2 organizations in Maricopa. One is Chicanos por la Casa.
All right, we've had one of the directors on the show here.
And the other is the City of Phoenix. City of Phoenix, the properties are located in the City of Phoenix, period. Whereas Chicanos por la Casa, it's Maricopa County-wide. So
no zip code requirements, just anywhere within. You just have to meet the NSP guidelines, which I'm going to guess is income and that sort of thing.
And I actually received a phone call from one of my realtors today, and he's like, I'm having a real hard time trying to find properties that are in that $70,000, $80,000 mark because, of course, those have very quickly moved on. And he actually mentioned that a lot of the listing agents are not accepting FHA buyer requests because they don't want to do the work to make the house FHA available. So that's where...
Not sure if I get that one.
Well,
homes right now, we've just come through a distressed market. Homes at that price range may very well have been the ones that are the most neglected. HUD has raised its standards, minimum standard flooring, minimum standard even
energy efficiency, right?
Manufactured housing restrictions on inspections, etc. And we get a lot of agents calling into us dealing with short sale issues. Same thing. They don't want an FHA offer for the property because it may require work done by the seller to raise it to these minimum standards.
So if the seller wants to sell it to somebody getting an FHA loan, they may have to come up with $18,000 or $10,000 or whatever it may be to fix the house up before it's actually sold with a...
Or they can do a 203K loan.
Right.
Depending, it's a streamline if it's less than $30,000 worth of
right.
work.
The 203K loan, for those of you that may not know, is a loan that you actually do a home improvement loan at the same time you're doing your purchase money loan,
correct,
so to speak. So that's, again, a generic term. Now, it looks like we do have a caller with a question here.
Brett from Paradise Valley would like to know, he's getting divorced. He was a homeowner, but she owned the home when they got married. Does he qualify?
Brett, first of all, thanks for calling. And there's a lot more to do you qualify. So there's a lot more. This is something you may want to just call Robert.
Well,
certainly, the divorce isn't going to hamper whether you're going to qualify or not. There's a debt ratio, your FICOs, that sort of thing.
Actually, it is an issue.
Well, if they haven't been taken off the property, it may.
Correct.
So
most people get divorced, don't realize they also have to get their name off the loan, which means getting it refinanced.
Right. If the house is hers, she needs to get you off the property. She needs to refinance, get you off the loan, get you off that deed, so it's her property solely.
And her mortgage.
And her mortgage solely. That way it's not part of your debt, your encumbrance, and you won't qualify for as much or nothing. So,
correct.
But thank you for calling. We appreciate that.
And again, and Cindy P. from Awatuki wanted to know if she could get Robert's contact information. Yeah. And if there was a website, she could get more info.
Okay. My phone number is 602-317-6166. My website is www.robertgilmore.com. And my last name is spelled a little bit differently. It's Gilmour.
Is that Canadian or something?
It's British.
British. Let's throw out the station number one more time. It's 480-745-1033. Please call in. Hey, you know what? Are we going to throw out a couple of free consultations? You know, we have somebody here from a law firm. We should be giving free law stuff. Not a beanie, not a hat, not a coffee cup.
Well, something we've always extended to you, Tom, and to your listeners is that if they feel like they're facing a real estate issue and a legal issue, we've extended to you that if they call into the show while we're on the air, and they have some issues they want to go through, we'll extend that, what is normally $150 to $250 for that consultation, we'll extend to them at no cost.
Outstanding. So if you own an Arizona property, and you're contemplating either a short sale or maybe you're in foreclosure, maybe you're upside down, you want to know what you can do, what your options are, call in. You don't have to get on air, and we will give you one of two free consultations tonight. For about another 20 minutes, we'll extend that offer. So that's pretty cool because that's a lot of money there. So thank you for offering that. I put you on the spot, but I appreciate it.
Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah, not a problem.
So my consultations are always free.
They are free. Exactly. So back to the NSP program, and that is a government program, neighborhoods, because that's a Bush program, correct?
Oh, God.
Way before President Bush?
Great question.
It is a Bush program.
I'm gonna have to defer that. It would probably timing wise would have to work out to that.
Yeah. So it's a program that's been around for quite a while, and again, it's another one of those programs that I don't think get enough press. not a whole lot of people know about it.
City of Phoenix received almost $50 million for this program.
Right.
And Chicanos por la Casa received roughly $35 million. So there is a lot of money for this particular program.
Right.
Now, that's pretty interesting. I want to comment. Around the country, NSP and neighborhood stabilization programs have never been funds made available to other than municipalities. And Chicanos por la Casa has gone, quite a few steps beyond to try to secure and advocate for their homeowners for affordability. I mean, they've done some amazing things, and to have them to be able to coordinate that money, that's quite an accomplishment for them.
They've done an incredible job. I had the pleasure, again, serving on the board of directors for the Hispanic Association of Real Estate Professionals for 3 years. And we did a lot of work with Celia San Diego. They are a great organization that advocates education, obviously, for all levels. So they have what's the address? Southern?
They're in Buckeye, or not Buckeye Road, over by downtown. But yeah, you're right. They do a lot of tremendous stuff.
They have a restaurant. They have the ability to teach people for work, training, that kind of thing.
Help people with resumes, clothes, outreach.
Everything.
Yeah, it's a wonderful. And again, we've had CC here on the show, so we love her, and she's wonderful. So back, I see you have a flyer here with houses on there. Are certain homes tagged with a certain amount of money? Is that the way some of this works?
The one thing I can just ask all of the listeners: use Google, type in City of Phoenix move-in ready inventory, and it will present you with an up-to-date list of the homes that are available. If you happen to see on that list TBD, which means to be determined when the work is going to be done, because what happens is they come in and they rehab the house to meet and exceed current building standards. So you're buying a house through using the NSP down payment assistance through the City of Phoenix or through Chicanos.
Okay, so this is not a property that you or me are selling. This is property that are purchased by the city already. They go in there and they rehab these homes to meet some very high standards.
Absolutely.
So you're not only you're getting a home that's been completely rehabbed with energy efficient stuff, appliances, windows, whatever. They're going to give you $15,000 for the privilege of buying that property, just as long as your income's at a certain level. See, this is great stuff. This is stuff that should be talked about every single day.
And one thing that's, again, with Chicanos por la Casa, if you are working with a realtor that actually knows about these programs and a lender that's working with the programs, you can go out and take a look at a house. And Tom Wilson from CPLC, that's Chicanos por la Casa, he'll go and take a look at that house. And if it fits within their census tract and type of area that they want to do work in, they'll actually acquire the property, do the rehab, and then provide you with the down payment assistance.
Right. That's awesome. I think we got a couple more calls here.
This was an interesting question here, but I told them make sure you listen. This is Penny from Phoenix, and she wanted a free consultation in the estate area. This is just limited to real estate, correct?
Yeah, we're strictly talking about real estate and mortgage issues for the free consult. But understand, if they want to call the office at the firm, 888-909-1030, typically on an estate planning issue, I don't think we even charge for that consult because it's typically pretty non-confrontational type planning work. So if they give the office, tell them they'd like to sit down, and our attorneys would love to talk with her.
And what's that number again?
888-909-1030.
Penny, thank you for the call. Again, our phone number here is 480-745-1033. So back to the move-in ready homes there. So they can find the list of the homes that qualify for the $15,000. Then at that point, how do they know they qualify for the NSP programs?
Because they've already taken the class.
Okay, so they've already had to do all that.
Education. They've already had the one-on-one counseling, and now they're working with the realtor.
Gotcha. Based on all this stuff, you meet with dozens of clients every single week. I forget what you told me, a half a dozen a day. I mean, a lot of folks that are having problems. Were any of these caused that you know of by people getting extra down payment, thinking I can buy more now, or is the process that Robert's talking about such a good process that they can't get to a point where it's kind of like diminishing returns, where they end up shooting themselves in the foot and losing that property?
HUD has proven statistically, because they track their data very well, homeowners that go through home buyer counseling before they buy are a multiple less likely to default on those loans.
Right.
And given how those properties were purchased and given how those transactions happen, frankly, I would say 1 out of 100 consults that I do, and maybe that's related to even the statistic we talked about, the number of families that even took advantage of them, but it is an incredible minority of people even facing an issue. Oh, by the way, I also happen to have. I probably run in today, to be honest, Save Our Home AZ, those programs they had for homeowners in loss mitigation to save their home that became unemployed, they assisted them with making mortgage payments, and then they secured one of these silent forgivable seconds. Mm-hmm. And I spend a great amount of time trying to remedy those out because homeowners tried to save, get a loan mod, no homebuyer education. Really asking questions. So I got to hand it to at least that part of it. My career's kind of proven to me that homebuyer education is a plus.
I truly believe everybody needs to have homebuyer education.
It's the biggest purchase in their lives for most people, right?
And a few of the agencies other than Neighborhood Housing Services, actually John C. Lincoln Hospital has an area called Desert Mission, and that's a great organization. They administer the WISH program, which is a 3-to-1 match, and Newtown CDC, Greater Phoenix Urban League, NIDCA.
Neighborhood. Yeah, that's right.
Gail Randolph.
Yep.
There's a number of housing counselors. Again, if you Google, you can take a look. Just want to mention as well, CPLC, or Chicanos por la Casa, also has a move-in ready inventory that can be accessed on the internet. And they constantly change. Down payment assistance programs come, they run out of money, sometimes they get refilled, and it's really important for your loan officer to keep track of who has money when and what the length of the process is, because you're really working with the numbers. So
right.
If, for example, you took your class at Desert Mission for the WISH program, it's not only being looked at by the housing counselor there, it's being looked at the underwriter by the Bank of England.
Qualifies all around.
And it's being administered by Community Housing Resources of Arizona. So you have 3 different sets of eyes looking at that paperwork to make sure that the borrower is protected, has not been overcharged, and qualifies for the loan.
Let me take a big jump or a leap here in a question and say that if anybody's looking to purchase a home in the next 30 days, should they first see if they qualify for these programs?
Absolutely.
So that should be the first step.
Absolutely.
So they should call somebody. They should either Google this or call you or any qualified lender that they may know of. If they don't, call you.
And again, I'm not saying that I can do every single program. There's some very good lenders out there that Delia Wilkins at Guild Mortgage is fantastic. She's a community.
Look at you giving a shout out to some of your competition.
We worked together at
Harrop. I know Delia very well, and I could recommend her in a heartbeat. So.
And Sharika Newchurch has done a great job.
Don't like her, but I like her name, so
there
that's cool.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know her, but I like her name. I don't know her, but I like her name, so it's not. I don't know her. So.
Faux pas.
I forgot Danny's last name.
Danny Lopezura from Wells Fargo. He's a great guy too. Yeah.
And so there are a number of us. It's
right.
Not, but have you contacted?
And what title company do you use? I just thought I would ask that question.
I know that I just have a recent
look at this
change.
right here. Look at this right here. I've got
that's
this right here.
There was
that's
a recent change. I am now dealing with Alicia Olson, who also was on the board of Harrop at First American.
We love you for that. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah. So I've got to mention because my bosses may be listening, but I'm here at the privilege of First American Title Company. They let me come out here and take off about 45 minutes early from work, even though I get in at 5 in the morning. But I don't. But they're letting me come out here for the show, which I thank them quite a bit. And it's the second largest title company in the country, so they're worldwide. So thank you if you're listening, Jeanette and Scott. But again, back to these programs. So that's what I would recommend. I would recommend that anybody looking to purchase that's listening to Google this information. Down payment assistance should get you to all these kinds of things.
Down payment assistance, City of Phoenix. Down payment assistance, City of Surprise. Down payment, and for example, City of Surprise, they may have a down payment assistance program, but they only have $100,000. Okay, and that down payment assistance.
Wait. So 100,000. So that can be broken up between like 10 of the first people that qualify get the money, or 5.
5. So it might be 10. Might
And
be
it comes
5.
again. It comes and goes. So you always have to keep checking. So don't check if you're going to buy 6 months from now. You got to check 60 days in advance, perhaps 90 days in advance.
At the same time that you're working with the nonprofit
To-
for the
to
education
get
and
the money.
counseling, is
Right.
they will let you know what programs are available
Right.
and which programs that
Right.
you qualify for.
Right.
And I'm a huge fan of piggybacking down payment. So
Right.
if you qualify for 1, you may qualify for 2.
Interesting.
So-
So just
Really?
because you qualify for one, so Kevin may have a comment on that. So you can get
Yeah.
a couple of these. No, is that
So-
a really cool?
I
you learned
find
something
it, yeah,
new.
I didn't know that you could stack them.
So as an example with the NSP's requirement is either half of the 3.5% on an FHA or a minimum of $1,000.
Okay, say that one more time. So you can, just as long as you come out of pocket for $1,000, seasoned money in your bank, you can get the NSP 15,000. And if you find city money or county money for another 25,000, good on you.
Right, and the other program that I normally match them with is called the WISH program. It's an individual development account. It's goes through the Federal Home Loan Bank of San Francisco. If it's a 3-to-1 match, so from $1 up to, or $1,000 to $5,000, if you put $5,000 into it, you'll get $15,000.
You personally, or NSP, or any other entity, they'll match
An
that.
FHA loan allows for gifts from family members,
Uh-huh.
so it can be made up of that, but at least $1,000 of your own.
Nice.
money has
This
to
is
be in.
great
So
information.
that gives you $30,000 of free money.
Right.
One is gone in 5 years, the other is gone in 15 years, and you've got 5,000 of your own money in there. You've
Right.
actually put something into it.
Skin of the game. We've had a couple of calls since a couple of seconds ago. Joe?
One is, you'll probably be bummed here, but these people learned about how they could buy a home from your show. This is Beth and Raquel, her mother, and they requested from their realtor to use you. And they said, we use our own people, but
Yeah.
thanks.
Well,
and she said she really wanted to meet you in person. She was really bummed. Her and her mother, they wanted to meet you.
I'm
because you
sorry.
got them to where they never thought they'd become homeowners.
You know
and
what?
now
Thank
they're going to
you.
be homeowners.
Thank you for calling and telling me that. And I'm bummed also. And that's the way the kind of the market works. The realtor or the lender, or there's a couple different ways of doing this, and I still don't understand it, even though I've been in business for a long time. But they could steer you to certain title companies, whether that's right or wrong or indifferent. It makes me sad sometimes, but that does happen with like REO properties. They can steer you because of certain financial issues or whatever. And I don't know if Kevin can shed some more light on this. In some counties, the seller picks, some counties the buyer picks, and I don't know how that happens or whether it's RESPA violations or what. But thank you so much for calling in. Thank you for listening, and I'm glad this show was able to help you.
And don't
purchase
you
the
do
program.
and don't you do spray tanning on the weekends? Because maybe you could meet them that way. They come down and get a spray tan or something.
You know, yes, no. This Hollywood tan is natural. I don't do anything to do this.
No, I
It's
can't
just
believe
the way-
that.
It's
But-
it's natural.
Just going back to the question, it is the borrower, the buyer's right to pick the title company.
And
in the
it
state
does
of
depend.
Arizona.
No, it's countywide. It's not. I always thought it was statewide, but it is actually countywide. And there's actually a kind of a. I guess it's what's fashionable at time. It changes. It can change.
Correct, but the way that the bank looks at it is that the borrower has chosen it once they sign a purchase agreement.
Yeah, Kevin. Any comments on that? Is there actually a law, a rule, or does it really matter?
I will tell you that they have tried forever. It's always the losing end of the proposition that wants to argue that's steering.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
reality of our real estate industry, excuse me,
It's staring if there's financial gain.
if there's no financial gain, it's a matter of relationship.
Sure.
We are in a relationship business, just like how our law firm and our relationship with Tom Yu is. We weren't doing business with First American Title,
Right.
and today we do business with it because of you and
Right.
your team.
Right.
And that relationship's what's key. And I think the one thing I would leave with every real estate professional out there is have a team. You have your title relationship, you've got your inspector relationship, you've got your loan officer relationship, and you've got to have those people, and sometimes you run into it. But what we do need is those professionals that when that that critical person, the person that's going to make the payment, the person buying the home says, you know what, I want to use X. It is a shame sometimes they go, oh, no, you're going to use my person.
Yeah, most people don't know that they can say,
Right.
nope, hold on now, stop the bus, we're going to use my person. I think before we forget, we had another caller.
We did. Ronnie and Mesa came in a little late and heard some of your talking about and said, do we have to be Hispanic to be on this program? And
I'm Robert A. Gilmore, originally born in Canada, speaks French and English, doesn't speak one word of Spanish. And I was on their board.
Well, she's talking about the down payment assistance programs.
Through-
They're open.
Right.
There's no background. It's based solely. Well, when I say solely, there's a lot of other criteria, but it's typically on income. So it's not based on your ethnic background
And
whatsoever.
Ronnie said, I know there's a lot of minority programs, and I wasn't sure if this was one of them, so Ronnie's going to be calling you.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Ronnie, thank you for listening, and thank you for calling in with that question. But that's a great question because it's not ethnic based. So, but good question. And you talked about the Hispanic board and all that, and you're not. You're a pasty white guy. So,
And we've had so far we've had 3 calls on the attorney consultations. Each one of those calls I've given your phone number to because they've been 2 on leasing commercial properties and 1 was on a rental agreement. So I've given them your number. I said you can talk to them, tell them you heard it on the radio show. And
We'll take care of them, I guarantee.
Excellent.
So, you know what? The hour has jammed right on by. It's amazing how fast it goes when we have a lot of great information, but it's about 3 minutes till. I'm going to let you guys kind of close out and give one more comment about you yourself, kind of thing, and your contact information real quick. You got 45 seconds, sir, Robert.
Okay. My contact information is 602-317-6166. Best way to reach me. I'd like to finish with the 10 commandments when applying for a mortgage loan. Number 1, thou shalt not change jobs or become self-employed. Number 2, thou shalt not buy a car, truck, or van unless you plan to live in it. Number 3, thou shalt not use your credit cards or let your payments fall behind. Number 4, thou shalt not spend the money you have saved for your down payment. Number 5, thou shalt not buy furniture before you buy your house. Number 6, thou shalt not originate any new inquiries on your credit report. Number 7, thou shalt not make any large deposits into your bank account, especially cash that was hiding under your bed. Number 8, thou shalt not change bank accounts. Number 9, thou shalt not co-sign for anyone, including your children. Number 10, thou shalt not purchase anything until after the closing. And number 11, don't get the moving truck ready to go on the day that you're supposed to close, because most likely it's not going to close on that day.
Yeah. And Kevin and I are laughing because we both have extensive mortgage backgrounds, and the amount of times that we see people go out and buy a car or co-sign for their kids or buy it for their kids. Well, I didn't buy the car for me. I bought the Mustang for my son. You paid for it. It's in your loan. That messes up your debt ratio.
It does.
Kevin.
Well, again, my name's Kevin Harden. The law firm's Arbolator Breckner. The practice group that I'm responsible for is the Mortgage Mediation Group. I will tell you today, we pretty much focus our time on underwater homeowners. Doesn't mean you're in trouble. Doesn't mean you can't make your payment. The fact is you owe more than your home is worth, and you're making some decisions, even if the decision is to stay. Arizona has very unique deficiency and tax laws you need to understand when you're making those decisions, and we extend ourselves out there. Our website, mortgagemediationgroup.com, and we can set you up. The consults are $150 typically. We can sit down and help everybody understand what their liability is, what their risks are. Again, you can call us direct, 888-909-1030.
Thank you, gentlemen. Next week, we're going to have a topic, it's the secrets of buying and selling HUD homes. So it's a pretty cool topic. We have one of the number 1 agents in Arizona. I think she was like top 10 in the country, Corinne Nguyen. She owns her own firm in Glendale. In fact, she has a billboard I saw a few months back. And then we have Tim George from AmeriFirst talking about a well-known gentleman in the industry buying and selling HUD homes. So that should be pretty cool. Hope you tune in. You've been listening to In the Know with Tom Diller. I am Tom Diller. This is KQCK Live. Joe, thank you so much. It's a pleasure coming out here to your ranch. Yeah, I can't say compound. Oh, I just did. I'm sorry.
You're not allowed to say that.
Oh, is that your chicken I ran over on the way into the parking lot?
That's
That was
breakfast
an
now.
ostrich.
That's going to be breakfast. Yeah. Dinner, exactly. But thank you for listening. Good night, everybody. We love you.
Thank you.
All right, here you go.
Outro.
Tom. You ready?
Outro?
All right, just making sure you're ready. Here we go.
I am ready.
Thanks for joining us today on In the Know with Tom Diller. We will always continue to strive to bring you the best in guests and to keep you informed on every facet of Arizona's volatile real estate market. Remember to tune in each and every week at 5 p.m. Arizona time exclusively on KQCK radio station. When it comes to real estate and more, be in the know.